Hey everybody, welcome back to Top 10 Nerd, the channel where we dive into all things nerdy and pop culture. I'm your host Kelly Pally, and today we're returning to our list of the top 10 Avengers 4 fan theories. Now there's a whole lot of speculation going on as to how Thanos' reign of terror will be put to an end, and what larger ramifications it will have for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Everybody has an opinion, and some fans have crafted some really stellar and potentially plausible theories that have us dying for next year just to roll around sooner. So with that in mind, let's jump into our list of the top 10 Avengers 4 fan theories Part 2. Also, major spoiler warnings. If it wasn't obvious. It's pretty obvious. Number 10, Scarlet Witch sets up the X-Men. While this theory isn't as integral to the Avengers 4 film as it is the entire MCU, it's something that people believe will see the groundwork for emerge in the highly anticipated film. Now, the merger between Disney and 21st Century Fox has had many wondering how some previously Fox-owned characters will be integrated into the MCU, with many believing that Deadpool and the X-Force will remain as is, but that the X-Men and Fantastic Four will get reboots. Well, Fantastic Four will definitely get a reboot, no question about it. Those movies are hot garbage, people. Anywho, one theory suggests that the mutants will be introduced in Avengers 4 when half of all of the living things are brought back to life. This triggers latent mutant genes that many people didn't realize they had. Professor X, Magneto, and perhaps Wolverine already exist. And with this triggering of mutant powers, they all have roles to play in how mutants emerge out into humanity. But there's already one mutant who has been depicted up on the big screen so far in the MCU. That's Scarlet Witch. She's an essential part of the comics when it comes to mutants, and many believe that this merger will lead to her character being rebranded into a mutant character, especially since she already has the public fearing her thanks to the events of Captain America Civil War. Now, having mutants appear on Earth after Avengers 4 would create a whole lot of fear, which creates the social rift between humans and mutants, and Scarlet Witch ends up siding with the mutants, with most of the characters from the original Avengers either being dead or no longer on Earth, or perhaps retired. Now, if Cap dies, she doesn't really have anyone from the Avengers to ground her anymore, assuming that Vision remains dead too. This could potentially lead to the House of M, and exploring the instability of Wanda's powers, which would be the natural progression for her character anyway. Up next, number 9, Coulson returns. Agent Coulson may not be in the MCU films these days, but he's been making waves over on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. At the end of the 5th season of that show, Coulson was all ready to live out the rest of his days in Tahiti alongside May. But now that half the world has been dusted, people think that there's a pretty good chance that he may reappear, being the one who steps in for Fury in his absence, with Coulson being kept alive thanks to the likes of Shuri or Tony Stark perhaps. While it's not the most groundbreaking theory on this list, it would surely have some fans pretty jazzed seeing Coulson rub shoulders with the Avengers one more time. And at number 8, Loki is alive. Loki's death in Infinity War has been highly debated. Is he actually dead? Or is this all an illusion? Is he secretly working with Thanos, or does he have his own agenda? And is that agenda a sinister one, or has he truly changed his ways? So many questions. But if we're gonna go with this whole his death was an illusion route, there's a few valid points that fans have noted that raise some suspicion. For starters, Loki isn't that dumb. The way in which he approaches Thanos in Infinity War to try to trick him isn't in character. It is like a pretty terrible plan, and Loki should know better. Second, fans noted that he used his left arm in that scene to attack Thanos rather than his right. His right arm is what he uses in all of the other films. Third, his last words to Thor seem to suggest that this is not the end. Some think that it's foreshadowing, with him telling Thor where to come find him. And lastly, well, this isn't Loki's first faking his death rodeo. He did it in Thor: The Dark World and managed to get away with it for years, pretending to be Odin. So a trick like that is definitely in his wheelhouse, and would keep him off of Thanos' radar for the time being. And at number 7, Shuri becomes Black Panther. Seeing T'Challa get dusted at the end of Infinity War was pretty surprising. He wasn't really one of the characters that many a fan believed would meet his demise in the film, but now that he's gone, one fan theory is that his sister Shuri will take up the throne in his absence. While Shuri's fate was not revealed at the end of the movie, it seems very likely that she's still alive. Now in the comics, Shuri has taken up the Black Panther mantle before, and did a pretty good job with it. Also, she's really awesome in the MCU. There's a belief that T'Challa in his sequel film will have lost the mantle of Black Panther, with Wakanda being a much different place than the one it was before the events of Infinity War, especially if there is a time jump between the two Avengers films as some people expect. With Shuri as Queen and Black Panther having ruled for a duration of years, T'Challa would still have a claim to the throne, but may see how well his sister has been doing and feel like he's kind of lost his place in the world. She's doing a good job, why have her stop? Right? And at number 6, Loki is the Hulk. One of the other theories surrounding Loki's survival is that he's actually Bruce Banner in disguise. Now in Infinity War, when Thanos fights the Hulk at the start of the film, Hulk goes down, but Heimdall uses his last bit of energy to transport the green monster to Earth to warn humanity. Some people think that perhaps Loki decided to transform himself into the Hulk and had taken over Bruce's identity, hence why Bruce can't transform into the Hulk. It's a theory that has a lot of holes, and would probably piss off a lot of fans if it turned out to be true, but I guess it's interesting nonetheless. And at number 5, Thanos reverses everything. In the comics, Thanos' self-doubt has often been his undoing. Despite being omnipotent, he is his own worst enemy, and he sets himself up to fail. There's a few theories kicking around that explore this idea, that Thanos will be the sole reason as to how Thanos is defeated. But in the comics, the sole reason for why Thanos does what he does with the Infinity Gauntlet and the stones is because of his desire to make himself worthy of Mistress Death's love. He continues to push further and further to impress her, but he never actually does. That aspect of his character isn't in the MCU, at least not right now, but Thanos has been shown to love somebody. His adoptive daughter, Gamora. This has led some fans to theorize that Thanos will reverse everything himself, just to bring back Gamora. Seems a little anticlimactic, and kinda crappy for the Avengers, because they're just like, this is shitty, and Thanos just kinda reverses everything anyways, and they don't do much that way, which wouldn't be fun. But I mean, it would kind of make sense. Maybe it'll be incorporated somehow. And at number 4, building the Infinity Gauntlet. One theory suggests that in order to defeat Thanos and his omnipotent power, the Avengers will need to build their own Infinity Gauntlet, all by using the quantum realm to travel back through time and space and collect the stones themselves. One user on 4chan claims to know the plot of Avengers 4 and posted a leak. So warning, if this leak is true, we're about to ruin the plot of Avengers 4 for you, but realistically, we're probably not. So, according to this anonymous user, the Avengers recruit Ant-Man to help them use the quantum realm and build their own gauntlet, with the film focusing quite heavily on Tony and Steve's relationship. Thanos finds out about their plan and Cap and Thor fight him. Cap picks up Mjolnir, which is now restored, and he fights Thanos, sacrificing himself while the others escape. Thor's subplot is all about building an army to take on Thanos, which is how Captain Marvel ends up in the mix after getting Fury's distress signal. Bruce Banner's subplot has him merging with the Hulk, becoming Professor Hulk, and apparently there's a pivotal scene in which Doctor Strange comes face to face with a fully CGI character, which was shot on a secret location with a skeleton crew, a scene that ate up a ton of their budget. So, what do you guys think? Is there a grain of truth in any of these? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But speaking of Doctor Strange, in at number 3, Strange and the Living Tribunal. So, who could that entirely CGI character be? Probably the Living Tribunal. We mentioned this in our last theory list, that Doctor Strange would encounter the Living Tribunal and the Celestials, who come together to discuss the fate of the universe, in a similar fashion as to what happened with Adam Warlock during the Infinity Gauntlet comic in 1991, and also in the aftermath of Thanos' defeat. The Living Tribunal is a character that's a cosmic entity that oversees and maintains the balance within the realities that make up the Marvel Cosmic Universe. His very first appearance was an encounter with Doctor Strange, in a storyline called The Sands of Death, which took place in Strange Tales issue 157 to 163 back in 1967, in which Strange must convince the Living Tribunal to not destroy Earth after it announces its intent to do so, since Earth has so much potential for evil. Strange, after going through a series of trials to convince him that good also exists, manages to change his mind. The theory suggests that these trials are what will keep Doctor Strange preoccupied during the film, but it will also have him crossing paths with the likes of many other characters in the MCU, including the ones that have been dusted, ensuring that all of the cast will be in the film beyond just appearing at the end once they've all been undusted. And at number 2, Captain America's Sacrifice. Now, considering Chris Evans has stated that he's retiring from acting, with Captain America being his final role, fans have speculated that in Avengers 4, which is the last movie in his contract, his Steve Rogers will die. Theories have been floating around for a while now as to how it may happen, but the most heartbreaking of them all is that he'll sacrifice himself to help Tony defeat Thanos. Now, for starters, they've had the ultimate complex bromance. Civil War made a major impact on their relationship, and the two didn't even speak during Infinity War, with Tony deciding to not call him. Surely the two will reconnect in Avengers 4, with all of the original Avengers being undusted, assuming that our pal Clint Barton is still kicking around. Now, some people think that Tony will have to use the gauntlet or the stones against Thanos in order to win, and that in order to obtain the Soul Stone, he'll have to sacrifice someone he loves. Pepper is clearly not an option, and Steve, who has never really felt like he fit in well with this time, would surely step up. His heroic nature would demand it, and Tony, knowing what's at stake, despite being utterly destroyed by it, would go along with it. And finally, in at number 1, Captain Marvel's whereabouts. In a theory from Redditor Meme Abstinent, we get a pretty solid speculation as to where Captain Marvel has been hiding over the past 20 years. Now, for context, as you probably already know, Captain Marvel's upcoming feature film is set in the 90s, which is neat. but raises some major questions. How come she hasn't been present in the MCU for the past 10 years? And how come Nick Fury hasn't reached out to her before? The post-credit scene of Infinity War depicted Nick Fury sending out a distress call via some pretty hip space beeper that was then revealed to have the Captain Marvel logo on it. We know that Fury will be present in the Captain Marvel film, so he clearly has a past connection to her. The theory speculates that by the end of Captain Marvel's movie, Earth has been infiltrated by Skrulls, and Carol has been sent on a mission by Fury to travel through time via the quantum realm and eliminate all of the imposters, not just from Earth but from all over the galaxy. And it has been revealed that the Captain Marvel film will focus on the character being caught between the Kree and Skrull War, so it kinda adds up. They go on to suggest that perhaps Fury believed that the snapping in Infinity War was actually due to the Skrulls, since not everyone was dusted. Both he and Maria Hill, who he would know are definitely not Skrulls, were in the process of being dusted when he sent out that distress call. Now the reason he didn't call Captain Marvel previously was because she had a whole universe to protect rather than just Earth. While it may seem that Fury wouldn't be mistaken as to the reason behind why the snap even happened, it's also plausible that he believes contacting Captain Marvel, who is protecting the galaxy, would be the only way to reverse the events of what had happened, since she's an expert time traveler and has the chops to go up against Thanos if he doesn't have the Infinity Gauntlet, which is where things get complicated. Guess we'll have to wait to find out. Alright, there we have it, friends. What do you guys think of all these theories? I feel like the last one has a very real chance of being somewhat accurate. Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know what you think. If you dug this video, show us some love and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for all things MCU, from lists to theories to news and updates. In the meantime though, thanks for watching everybody. I'll catch you on the next video.